What's going on, guys? Jerry with Custom Gear here. So we wanted to do a video series for you guys, and we looked at doing equipment maintenance, but there's plenty of videos out there on that. How to make adjustments for comfort, a lot of videos out there on that. So we noticed that there's a little bit of a lack of videos on how to make your own mobile hunting gear. So we're going to start making dump pouches, accessories, all sorts of different stuff. That's not climb rated, obviously. And we're going to show you the equipment that you'll need to do it. Super cheap to do it, really. There's plenty of machines out there that you can get that are used, that are a little bit heavier duty, things like that. So we're going to kind of go over in this video what all you're going to need in general to make pretty much any of this stuff. And then the next videos we'll start diving in. The first video we're going to do is the next video we're going to do is on how to make a tether pillow for your head. Something pretty simple to make. Super cheap to make it, and something everybody can use, because if you go in early, you're going to take a nap. So anyways, first thing we're going to do is talk about some of the equipment and material you'll need. Not going to get into the specific material to the piece of gear that you're making, because that's going to vary. We'll talk about that on each of those videos. But in general, we're going to talk about the equipment that you're going to need. And the first thing you're going to need, obviously, is a sewing machine. Not everybody can afford a $5,000 industrial sewing machine. So there's some machines on the general market you can get that's fine for the kind of stuff we're going to be making. The Singer Heavy Duty is a good option. I'm not affiliated with any of these folks, by the way. It's just stuff I used in the past before we got started, and even now I use it on some of our own little personal things. But the Singer, this is the 4432. I didn't use the Singer Heavy Duty 4432 for any specific reason. There's a couple of different versions of the Singer Heavy Duty, but it's the heavy duty gray one. It has all aluminum parts on the inside, except for a few little things, where most of the residential machines have a lot of plastic parts. So it can handle a lot more stuff. So this is a good machine, and they're cheap. You can get them like 160, 180 bucks. You can look on Marketplace sometimes and pick them up for less than 100 bucks. It's just a plain old foot pedal machine. It comes with pretty much everything you're going to need. Equipment wise, it's going to come with some bobbins. The bobbins it comes with are these plastic bobbins. You're going to want to throw those away, because they have a seam in them, and that seam will every once in a while catch your thread and just cause you all sorts of havoc. So throw those away and get you some metal ones. All this stuff you can actually find, except for some of the specific items. The sewing machine, the thread, and everything at like Hobby Lobby or Walmart or something like that, including the bobbins. Get the metal bobbins. There's no seam on the top or bottom. They're smoother and they run a little heavy. And the fact that they're heavier, they actually run a little better. Not sure why that is, but it's a fact. Pair of tweezers. That's going to come in handy when you're threading the machine and throughout the whole process. Thread cutter or thread puller, because you're going to screw something up. We always do. So you're going to need a thread puller to get that out of there. You're going to need a good pair of scissors. They don't have to be expensive scissors. You don't have to get out and get $500 pair of scissors. These are just the Fiskars, and these are the ones that have the some sort of coating on them. But we use those on all the machines, even on the industrial machines. They're good little scissors. A wheel cutter. You're going to need something like that. You're also going to need a self-healing cutting pad. Those are probably the next most expensive thing you'll get. They're like 40 bucks, and you can get them at Hobby Lobby or Walmart. The bigger you have, the easier it is, I believe. We use smaller ones on the industrial machines, just on the machine itself, so we have someplace quick to cut. But if you're doing any big cutting, you'll want a bigger one. A torch. You're going to want a torch. Any of the webbing that you're cutting, you're going to want to torch the ends of it. You want to leave frayed ends, because those are going to loosen up and break loose eventually. Thread. So thread is the big thing. A lot of guys doing DIY stuff, they're using, I think it's Gutterberg or Gutterson. It's a upholstery thread that you can get at like Hobby Lobby, and it's great. It's basically Teak's 69 thread, but you're going to pay $4 to $8 for a little roll of it, when you can go to like Waywack sewing store online, and you can get a whole roll of like 6,000 yards for about 20 bucks. And you'll want to get the Teak 69. That's all you have to deal with. Teak 69, that's the only thread. You can do any of the bags, any of the hanging stuff, anything that's not load bearing, you can do it with the 69. You really only need two colors. Doesn't matter what pattern you're working with. Doesn't matter what color webbing you're working with. If you have black and brown thread, you can make it work. Brown's going to blend into a lot of your OD greens, a lot of your grays, and then the blacks for everything else. So you can really cut it down. And like I said, 20 bucks for a 6,000 yard roll. Might be 30 bucks, but anyways, you get enough thread, it's going to last you forever. You're going to want a thread stand. These machines do come with this little thread bobbin holder thing. It sucks. You're not going to want to use that. You're going to want a thread stand that you can put behind the machine so you're not constantly having to come up here and fix breakages and things like that. It's going to feed straight off of the reel. And you're going to want a thread stand. These are, you can get them on Amazon, super cheap, and they're just good for feeding the thread. It makes it feed a lot smoother when you're running it into the machine. You're also going to want chalk. You can use like cheap store, school chalk, it's fine. We like this Taylor's chalk, Colonel's Taylor chalk, because it has a fine edge on it. So if you're doing edge work, it works really good for doing straight lines, and it comes off the material really easy. A lot of times we'll send stuff out and miss a line. Within a couple of days of use, that line's gone. So it's just a real easy thread to get a hold of. Again, that's at Waywack. I'm not affiliated with them. And a whole box of this stuff is like, I don't know, 17 bucks or something. Super cheap. And that's really all you need to make any of this stuff other than material that you're going to be using to make it. So if it's something you're going to be interested in following and doing some of the stuff yourself, if you've got an at-home machine, a lot of the lighter work, it'll be fine for that. Some of the webbing and some of the other stuff we're going to be doing in these projects is going to be a little heavier, and it can tax those machines. So if you can, go out and get you one of these heavy-duty singers. Get you the metal bobbins. Get you a little bit of everything else. Get you some thread ordered. If you got old hunting t-shirts, old hunting jackets, old hunting pants, let's use that stuff to make these bags so you're not spending a lot of money on that. And we can make it all work. So next video, we're going to get into making the tether pillow. All right, appreciate you guys. Give us a follow.